The grand ballroom lights dim, crystal glasses clink like distant thunder, and every eye in the room turns to me. My mother, poised, perfect, always with that knowing smile, stands frozen mid-sip, her champagne flute trembling in her manicured hand. She's spent years telling me I'm wasting my breath on boys' games and temporary distractions. But in that heartbeat, as the rear admiral's voice booms across the hall, Captain Riley Thompson, the unbreakable backbone of our fleet, the world she built for me crumbles. And all I do? I stand. I salute. Because I've been standing tall for years, just not where she could see. Hi, I'm Riley Thompson, Captain in the United States Navy. And this is the story of how I turned her doubts into my anchor. Stick around, because if you've ever felt invisible in your own family, this one's for you. Welcome to Valor Voice, where real heroes whisper their triumphs. Let me take you back to the beginning, because stories like this don't erupt from nowhere, they simmer, they build like pressure in the deep blue, until one wave crashes everything open. I was 8 years old, knees scraped from climbing the rickety playset in our backyard, the one Dad built from discount lumber that always smelled like fresh sawdust and possibility. Our house was a modest split level in a sleepy suburb outside Norfolk, Virginia, close enough to the naval base that you could hear the occasional hum of helicopters slicing the sky, but far enough that my parents pretended the ocean was just a vacation spot, not a calling. Mom, her name's Lydia Hargrove Thompson, the kind of woman who could organize a PTA bake sale into a symphony of efficiency, was in the kitchen, apron tied just so, stirring a pot of her famous chicken noodle soup. The steam curled up like question marks, and I burst through the screen door, breathless, my toy binoculars swinging from my neck like a medal of honor. Mom, listen, I was Captain Riley today. We defended the fort from the pirates, and I directed the fire, pew pew, and we saved the whole island. She turned, wooden spoon paused mid-stir, her hazel eyes softening into that indulgent smile she reserved for my phases. At 35, she was the queen of her domain, high school guidance counselor by day, domestic architect by night. Her world was measured in report cards, wedding albums, and the neat rows of hydrangeas lining our driveway. "Oh, Riley Bug," she said, wiping her hands on a floral towel, "that's wonderful, sweetie. But remember, captains need to know when to come home for dinner. Why don't you help set the table? Your sister's already done hers." My sister, Brooke, 2 years my senior, with her golden curls and effortless grace, was already at the dining room table, folding napkins into swans like some origami prodigy. She glanced up, smirking. "Yeah, Captain Chaos. Pirates don't do dishes." We all laughed, but even then, at 8, I felt the tug, the invisible line she drew between my wild imaginings and their tidy reality. That night, as I lay in bed staring at the glow-in-the-dark stars on my ceiling, arranged in perfect constellation grids, because even my dreams had to be organized, I whispered to myself, one day, they'll see. One day, I'll be the real captain. Fast forward through the blurry reel of adolescence, awkward braces, volleyball tryouts where I spiked the ball like it owed me money, and endless library hours devouring books on naval history, from the decks of the USS Constitution to the codebreakers of World War II. Mom would find me there, nose deep in the Caine Mutiny, and sigh. "Riley, honey, that's all well and good for a hobby, but life's about building something stable. A career, a family, a home with walls that don't rock with the waves." Dad, ever the peacemaker, quiet accountant with his ledgers and his loyalty, would nod along, adding, "Your mother's right. The Navy's for folks who need adventure. We've got adventure right here, family barbecues and college funds." Brooke, meanwhile, was blooming into Mom's mirror image, straight-A student council president, debate team star, already eyeing real estate courses at UVA. She got the praise, the "that's my girl" hugs, the vision board sessions over chamomile tea. Me? I was the spirited one, the dreamer with salt in her veins and stars in her eyes. High school graduation came and went, me in my cap and gown, clutching an acceptance letter to the Naval Academy that I'd earned through sheer grit, top scores in math and physics, a summer internship shadowing a logistics officer at the base, letters of recommendation from teachers who called me relentlessly prepared. I remember the dinner announcement like it was etched in brass. We were at our favorite Italian place, red checkered tablecloths, garlic bread steaming, the works. I'd rehearsed it 100 times in the mirror, uniform straight, voice steady. Mom, Dad, Brooke, I've been accepted to Annapolis. I'm enlisting in the Navy. Not just joining, I'm going all in. Officer training, the works. The fork paused halfway to Mom's mouth, her Caesar salad forgotten. Dad's eyes widened behind his bifocals. Brooke choked on her fettuccine. And Mom? She set her fork down with deliberate calm, like she was grading a student's essay on poor life choices. Riley. Annapolis? The Naval Academy? Sweetheart, that's ambitious. But you're 18. You don't even like camping. Remember that Girl Scout trip where you complained about the dirt? The Navy's no place for a girl like you. It's sweat and orders and, God, the deployments. What about college? A real degree? Law school, maybe? Or teaching, like me, something with roots. Her words landed like depth charges, slow and deep, rattling my resolve. Mom, this is my roots. I've wanted this since I was a kid playing forts. It's not a whim, it's me. She reached across the table, patting my hand like I was consoling a patient. Oh, Riley. It's a phase, like your astronomy club or that poetry slam nonsense. Give it a year at community college, see if the world's still calling you to see. You're too smart to waste on uniforms and drills. Waste. That word lodged in my chest like shrapnel. Brooke jumped in, ever the diplomat. Hey, it's cool, sis. If you want to play soldier for a bit, go for it. Just don't forget us landlubbers. Dad mumbled something about pride, but his eyes said worry. That night, driving home with the windows down, salt air whipping my hair, I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles whitened. Waste? No. I'd show them purpose. I'd carve my name into the waves. Boot camp at Great Lakes was my forge, 50-degree mornings on Lake Michigan, where the wind bit harder than any southern gale. 50 recruits, hair buzzed to stubble, mine felt like freedom, not loss, marching in cadence that echoed like a heartbeat. I don't know, but I've been told. Instructors, petty officers with voices like gravel and eyes that missed nothing, broke us down to build us up. I remember the first night, bunked in a metal rack that creaked like an old ship, my muscles screaming from push-ups in the surf. A girl from Texas, Mia, whispered from the bunk below, "You okay, newbie? This ain't no picnic." I swallowed the lump in my throat. It's exactly what I signed up for. And in that moment, with the barracks lights buzzing overhead, I felt it, the first thread of steel weaving into my spine. No more explaining. Just doing. Mom sent letters, neatly typed on her monogrammed stationery, scented with lavender. Proud of you for trying this out, Riley. Remember to moisturize, that wind will age you. Brooks dating a med student, you'll love him. No questions about my quals, my swim tests, the way I aced rifle marksmanship by visualizing targets as doubts I needed to sink. I wrote back sparingly, all good. Training hard. Love you. But inside, her words were eroding buoys, pulling me towards safer shores. During fire watch shifts, pacing the dim halls at 2 o'clock, rifle slung over my shoulder, I'd replay her voice, phase. Waste. And I'd counter it with the Academy's creed, whispered like a mantra, I am a midshipman at the United States Naval Academy. I will support and defend. Annapolis was a revelation, a Gothic campus on the Severn River, where plebeians like me saluted upperclassmen with yes, sir, and studied until our eyes burned. Engineering classes by day, sword drills by dusk, and weekends volunteering at the base, sorting supplies for incoming ships. That's where I met Colonel Harlan Voss, retired, grizzled, with a limp from Nam and wisdom that cut through fog like a lighthouse beam. He was volunteering too, stacking crates of MREs, when he caught me reorganizing the entire warehouse by expiration date and priority load. Midshipman, he grunted, wiping sweat from his brow, you move like you've got the weight of the fleet on your shoulders already. What's your poison, tactics or logistics? Logistics, sir, I replied, snapping to attention. The invisible gears that keep the machine turning. He chuckled, a rumble like distant artillery. Smart girl. Most chase the glory shots, the carrier landings, the seal pins. But you? You're the one who makes sure the ammo's there when the guns fire. Remember that, Thompson, true command isn't loud. It's the quiet that holds everything together. We talked for hours that day, about TED offensive supply lines gone wrong, about women like Grace Hopper who coded the Navy's future from the shadows. He became my unofficial mentor, slipping me books on operational planning, inviting me to his Chesapeake Bay cabin for strategy sessions over black coffee. Your family's proud? He'd ask, casual as casting a line. I'd hesitate, tracing the grain of his oak table. They're adjusting, sir. He'd nod, never pushing. Adjustment comes when they see the stripes. Where M for you first? My first deployment came after commissioning, ensign bars gleaming on my collar, heart pounding as I boarded the USS Gerald forward for the Persian Gulf. Mom's goodbye brunch was a masterpiece of passive concern, quiches in phyllo, fresh mimosas, and a care package bulging with sunscreen, novels by Nicholas Sparks, and a pearl necklace for when you're back in civilization. Be safe, Riley, she said, hugging me stiffly. And think about that MBA program Brooks recommending. The Navy's fun, but it's no life for a woman alone. Alone? I was stepping into a floating city of 5,000 souls, pilots, engineers, cryptologists, all linked by one chain of command. My role in supply chain ops was the artery, forecasting fuel needs for F-35 sorties, routing medical evacuations through contested airspace, ensuring that when a destroyer called for torpedoes, they arrived before the enemy did. Days blurred into nights under fluorescent hums, coffee dripped into my veins, screens glowing with manifests and threat maps. One storm hit us off the Strait of Hormuz, Category 3 swells that tossed the carrier like a cork, waves slamming the deck like accusatory fists. Alarms wailed, a hello went down in the churn. I was in CIC, Combat Information Center, voice steady over the comms, all hands, secure for heavy weather. Logistics team, reroute medevac to auxiliary pad ETA 45 mics. We pulled it off, 11 souls fished from the foam, no losses. The captain clapped my shoulder later. Ensign Thompson, you just saved our ass. Keep that ice in your veins. I called home from a sat phone in Diego Garcia, salt-crusted and exhilarated. Mom, we had a rough one, a crash in the storm. But we got everyone out. It was intense. Her paws stretched like a taut hawser. Oh, honey. That sounds awful. Are you okay? When are you rotating back? Brooke just closed on her first condo. It's adorable, white picket fence and all. No, I'm proud. No, tell me more. Just the pivot to safer successes. I hung up, staring at the Indian Ocean's endless blue, and felt the old wound reopen. Why can't she see? But Harlan's words echoed, where am for you? So I did. Promotion to lieutenant followed, after a counter-piracy op off Somalia, where my resupply plan kept a task force fueled for 72 hours straight, nailing 3 skiffs before they could board a merchant. The ceremony was small, shipboard, salt spray anointing my new pins. I sent Mom a photo, me in khakis, smiling against the rail. Her reply, pins look sharp. Don't forget sunscreen. Hugs and kisses. Years stacked like bulkheads, Lieutenant JG in Bahrain, plotting ammo flows for Operation Inherent Resolve, full lieutenant at the Pentagon, buried in NATO briefs, one of 8 women in a warren of cubicles where the air smelled of stale coffee and classified ink. I thrived in the shadows, writing contingency plans for everything from cyber intrusions to refugee surges, mentoring junior officers on the fine art of no-fail logistics. There was this one ensign, young kid from Ohio named Jax, who showed up wide-eyed and overwhelmed. Ma'am, how do you keep it all straight? The spreadsheets alone. I leaned back, feet up on the desk, a rare indulgence. Jax, it's not about straight lines, it's about anticipating the bend. Navy life's a storm, you don't fight it. You steer through. He nodded, scribbling notes, and months later, when he aced his qual boards, he saluted me in the hall. Couldn't have done it without you, Captain in waiting. Captain? Not yet. But the word lingered, a promise on the horizon. Family holidays were minefields, neutral ground where Mom's expectations collided with my reality. Thanksgiving 2019, back in Norfolk on leave, the table groaned under turkey and fixings, Uncle Ray, Dad's brother, the loud realtor, holding court. Brooke arrived with her fiancé, Mark, tall, lawyerly, with a ring box burning a hole in his pocket. Mom beamed, toasting to new beginnings and solid foundations. My turn, fresh from a deployment where I coordinated a 200-sailor evac from a typhoon-ravaged atoll, saving a village clinic in the process. Busy year, I said, casual. Led a multi-ship resupply in the South China Sea, kept tensions from boiling over. Uncle Ray chuckled, carving the bird. South China what? Sounds like a video game, kiddo. Pass the gravy, Brooke. Tell Em about that waterfront listing. Mom chimed in, patting my knee under the table. Riley's got her adventures, but Brooke here's building equity. Real wealth, you know? Dad shifted uncomfortably, forking his stuffing. Brooke shot me an apologetic glance, but the damage was done. I excused myself early, drove to the beach, and let the Atlantic roar drown the echo. Adventures? This was my lifeblood, the pulse of purpose. But that night, scrolling through my phone in a motel off base, too raw to go home, I found Harlan's text, heard about the evac. Clean work, Thompson. Remember, Doubters are just waiting for the proof. Give it time. Time. I had oceans of it. The pivot came in 2022, a posting to Yucam in Stuttgart, Germany, where the stakes sharpened like a K-bar. Russia was rattling sabers in Ukraine, NATO was mobilizing. I was lieutenant commander now, 04 stripes earned through a flawless command tour on a literal combat ship, where I'd orchestrated a live-fire exercise that synced air, sea, and cyber assets without a hitch. Stuttgart was chess on steroids, daily briefs with generals, wargaming escalations, ensuring that if Article 5 triggered, our supply lines wouldn't snap. I shared a flat with another officer, Lena, a Danish liaison with a laugh like champagne bubbles, and we'd unwind with Riesling and rants about home. My mum thinks I'm mad for this life, she'd say. Yours? Worse, I'd laugh. Thinks it's a detour from real womanhood. One crisp October afternoon, as golden leaves swirled outside my office window overlooking the Neckar River, the call came. Mom, voice tinny over VoIP. Riley, the gala, I've been planning it for months. Co-hosting with the Veterans Legacy Fund. Black tie, influencers, even a senator. You have to come. Wear something elegant, not that uniform jazz. Network a little, meet some civilians your age. I paused, stylus hovering over a tablet of fuel projections. Mom, I'm swamped, NATO's got us on high alert. Nonsense. A weekend off won't sink the fleet. Besides, Brooke's bringing Mark, proposals official now. And Uncle Ray's toasting donors. It'll be fun. Show them you're more than just Navy. More than. There it was again, the qualifier, the asterisk on my existence. I sighed, rubbing my temples. Fine. I'll fly in. Her delight crackled through the line. Perfect. Oh, Riley, you won't believe the florals, peonies everywhere. I hung up, staring at the map on my wall, pins marking choke points from the Baltic to the Black Sea. A weekend in pearls and small talk? Felt like trading my sextant for a salad fork. But something tugged, a quiet curiosity. What if I showed up, not as the Navy girl, but as me? Stripes and all. The flight home was turbulent, mirroring the knot in my gut. Norfolk welcomed me with humid arms, the base's floodlights winking like old friends. Mom's house glowed festive, string lights, a banner reading Gala Glory. Brooke hugged me at the door, her engagement ring catching the light like a signal flare. Sis, you look shipshape. Mom's on edge, wants everything Pinterest perfect. Inside, the air hummed with prep, caterers arranging charcuterie towers, Dad fiddling with the playlist, his one concession to festivity, Frank Sinatra crooning my way. Mom swept in, air kissing my cheeks. Riley! There you are. Quick, try this dress, emerald, to match your eyes. No khakis tonight, promise? I held up my garment bag. Actually, Mom, I'm wearing dress whites. Full medals. Her face fell, just a flicker, before the smile snapped back. Whites. At a civilian gala? Honey, it'll clash. And those ribbons, people will think you're showing off. It's who I am, I said, voice even. The uniform tells my story better than silk ever could. She busied herself with a vase, rearranging lilies. Suit yourself. Just mingle. For me? The night of the gala arrived like a dress rehearsal for destiny. The venue, a restored waterfront mansion on the Elizabeth River, sparkled under chandeliers that dripped light like molten gold. Guests milled in tuxes and gowns, philanthropists with checkbooks fat as anchors, vets with stories etched in scars, a smattering of brass from the bass. I arrived solo, dress whites crisp as a fresh muster, cover tucked under my arm, St. Christopher medal, Mom's one concession to my hobby, for safe travels, glinting at my throat. Mom spotted me first, weaving through the crowd like a social butterfly on steroids. Riley! Oh, well, you clean up Navy nice. Come, meet Dr. Ellis, he's on the hospital board. My daughter's in logistics with the Navy, keeps the ship stocked with Band-Aids. She laughed, a tinkling cover for the dig, introducing me to a circle of donors. This is Riley. She's supportive staff. Behind-the-scenes type. Dr. Ellis nodded politely. Logistics? Vital work. Ever think of transitioning to healthcare admin? More stable hours. I smiled, steel beneath silk. Actually, sir, it's more than stocking, it's strategy. Last year, my team rerouted 50 tons of humanitarian aid through a blockade in the Med, saved a refugee camp from collapse. Mom's laugh cut in, sharp as a bosun's whistle. Always the storyteller. Excuse us, Brooke's signaling. She steered me away, whispering, Riley, tone it down. This isn't a briefing room. I bit back the retort, scanning the room instead. Uncle Ray boomed a toast from the podium, to legacies that last, homes, families, futures. Applause rippled, Brooke glowed beside Mark, who was down on one knee now, ring extended. Cheers erupted. Mom dabbed her eyes, then turned to me. See? That's the dream. Your turn next, maybe a nice pilot? Before I could respond, a young man in cadet grays approached, midshipman from Annapolis, no older than 20, eyes wide as portholes. Ma'am? Lieutenant Commander Thompson? Sir, ma'am, it's an honor. I studied your white paper on adaptive supply chains last semester. Changed how I think about ops. I shook his hand, genuine warmth breaking through. At ease, midshipman. What's your name? Hayes, ma'am. Caleb Hayes. Permission to ask, how do you stay calm when it's all falling apart? Mom hovered, eyebrow arched. Logistics geek? But I answered, low and steady, you don't stay calm, Hayes. You become it. Prep for the chaos before it knocks. He saluted crisply, vanishing into the crowd. Mom exhaled. Friends in low places, HM? Come, desserts are out, don't want you missing the Eclair pyramid. Seated at a peripheral table, prime view of the desserts, as promised, I nursed a ginger ale, watching the swirl. A string quartet sawed at Vivaldi, laughter bubbled like foam on a bow wave. Then, the MC took the stage, Rear Admiral Elena Vasquez, sharp as a cutlass, Latina powerhouse who'd commanded carrier strike groups from Yemen to the Yellow Sea. I'd briefed her once in Stuttgart, on Baltic resupply vectors. She scanned the room, eyes locking on mine like radar ping. Ladies and gentlemen, she began, voice carrying like a 1MC announcement, tonight we honor not the fireworks, but the fuse, the quiet forces that ignite victory. In a world of headlines and heroes in the spotlight, we forget the architects, the planners who thread the needle through storms, the leaders who hold the line when the map goes dark. Applause built, polite at first. Mom, at the head table with donors, clapped along, oblivious. Admiral Vasquez continued, her gaze unwavering. I've served with thousands, but few embody that unyielding precision like one woman here tonight. From hurricane heaves in the Atlantic to NATO's nerve center in Europe, she's orchestrated the impossible. 300 souls evacuated under fire in the Gulf, supply lines unbroken through cyber sieges, mentoring a generation of officers who'll sail circles around threats yet to come. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for Captain Riley Thompson, the steel spine of our Navy? The room inhaled. Then, explosion. Applause thundered, chairs scraping, hands reaching. Cadets saluted, vets nodded deep respect. Uncle Ray's jaw slackened mid-sip. Brooke's eyes widened, Mark whispering, "Whoa." And Mom? Lydia Hargrove Thompson, architect of expectations? She froze. Utterly. Her flute hovered inches from her lips, bubbles popping silently, color draining from her cheeks like tide receding. No knowing smile, no pivot to safer topics. Just silence. A chasm. I rose slow, heart hammering not from nerves but vindication, the sweet, salty taste of truth unveiled. Admiral Vasquez approached, plaque in hand, engraved brass, for exemplary service, Captain R. Thompson, USN. We shook, firm, equal. Well done, Captain, she murmured. The fleet's stronger for you. Thank you, Admiral. Just doing my duty. As the ovation crested, a standing wave, I caught Mom's eye across the divide. No words, but her face said volumes, shock splintering certainty, the face she dismissed now etched in every clap. I didn't gloat. Didn't need to. The uniform spoke. The aftermath unfolded like a slow debrief. The gala blurred into handshakes and photos, senators slapping my back, donors pressing cards, healthcare transition. Ha, Brooke hugging me fierce, sis, you slayed. Mom's, processing. Uncle Ray cornered me by the bar, Captain, eh? Hell, kiddo, next toast's yours. Dad, quiet as ever, squeezed my arm, knew you had it in you, Bean. Mom? She glided through the motions, air kisses to guests, laughter tinny, but avoided my orbit. Until the drive home, stars pricking the velvet sky, her hands white-knuckled on the wheel. Silence stretched, broken only by the AC hum. Riley, she finally said, voice small, that was unexpected. Captain? When did that happen? Last spring, I replied, watching taillights streak. After the Black Sea Op quiet ceremony in Naples. She nodded, lips pursing. I didn't know. The Admiral, your Admiral, painting you like some legend. All those deployments, the risks. I thought it was just paperwork. Schedules. It is schedules, I said gently. Schedules that save lives. That keep families whole. Another pause, the kind that echoes. I've been wrong, haven't I? Calling it a waste. A phase. You weren't running from us, you were running to something bigger. Tears glistened on her cheeks, street lamps gilding them gold. I reached over, hand on hers, first time in years it felt mutual. Mom, it's not about being right. It's about seeing me. All of me. She pulled into the driveway, engine ticking cool. I do now. Or, I'm trying. Come for brunch tomorrow? Just us girls? Brunch became a tradition, awkward at first, laden with apologies wrapped in crepes. Mom's letter arrived a week later, handwritten on that lavender paper. Dearest Riley, the gala opened my eyes to the ocean you've been navigating alone. Your stripes aren't just metal, they're milestones I missed. I'm proud, truly. Let's build from here. Love, Mom. Half-hearted? Maybe. But it was a start, a buoy in choppy waters. Brooke's wedding that summer was the real test, white tents on the bay, gulls wheeling overhead. Mom walked her down the aisle, beaming, but when it was my turn for the toast, the room hushed. To Brooke and Mark, I began, glass raised, may your voyages be shared, your storms weathered together. And to family, the anchors that hold us even when we drift. Eyes met across the tables, Mom's, misty but steady. Later, as fireworks bloomed over the water, she pulled me aside. Riley, that niece of mine, little Emma, she saw your photo in the paper. Auntie Riley's a captain. I wanna be her. I knelt to Emma's level, her pigtails tousled by the breeze. What do you wanna do, Squirt? Save the ships. And the pirates. Mom watched, a soft laugh escaping. She's got your fire. And your organization, I added. We hugged, real this time, no qualifiers. Life post-gala? Fuller decks all around. Promotion to captain came formal in D.C., sword arched overhead, Harlan pinning my eagles, Admiral Vasquez in attendance. The quiet ones rise highest, she said. I called Mom from the ceremony, live stream on her tablet, Brooke cheering via Zoom. Look at you, Mom whispered, voice cracking. My captain. Deployments continued, now with 05 weight, commanding a logistics squadron out of Sigonella, Sicily. Olive groves by day, op centers by night, airlifting aid to earthquake zones, thwarting smuggling rings in the Aegean. Jax, my old mentee, rotated under me, full lieutenant now, leading his own team. You taught me calm, ma'am, he said over coffee in the wardroom. Now I'm paying it forward. And the losses? They carve deep. Like losing Petty Officer Ruiz, my logistics wizard, gone in a hello mishap off Crete. We scattered his ashes in the Med, waves lapping the gunwale like a final salute. I visited his widow in Naples, holding her as sobs shook us both. He talked about you, Captain, she said. Said you made the impossible routine. Back aboard, I lit a candle in the chapel, tiny flicker against the vastness, and whispered, rest easy, shipmate. I'll hold the line. Mom started visiting base, tours of the carrier, wide-eyed at the catapults. It's bigger than I imagined, she'd say, fingering a life preserver. She even joined a VFW auxiliary, fundraising for vet families. Turns out, she confessed over Skype one Christmas, your phase inspired me to see beyond the hydrangeas. Today, as Captain Riley Thompson, I stand on bridges, not just literal, but bridges between doubt and discovery. Mentoring at Annapolis, I tell plebes, your family's map might not match yours. Draw your own, then invite them aboard. Mom's not perfect, still sends etiquette books for those fancy dinners. But her texts now read, proud of my sailor. Call soon. And that frozen moment at the gala? It's my North Star. Proof that valor isn't shouted, it's saluted. That the deepest cuts heal into the strongest scars. If you're out there, feeling unseen, remember, your tide's coming. Ride it.